Hey, I'm Ben from Arrow, and I'm joined here today by Piers from Zeno AI. He's one of the founding members of the AI Receptionist Standards Network. Thanks, Piers, for coming on board.
Thanks for having me.
It was an idea I had you're the first person I reached out to about forming it because I'd just seen your face all over Facebook, where you were, where you've been promoting what you're promoting everything to do with Zeno AI, right? It's particularly towards dentists and salons.
Yeah, actually, initially we didn't specifically go after dentists. It was more so we saw a massive potential in the world of voice AI for across a bunch of different domains. Actually, founding story wasn't in dentistry whatsoever. It's actually in outbound sales, which I can get to in a second. But we kind of cast a net in kind of three directions using ads, of which one of them was in dentistry. And funnily enough, I was kind of thinking, I hope it's not dentistry because I come from a family of dentists. My dad
Oh,
and
right.
my uncle both own private dentist practices. I was kind of like, I don't want to be another person in the family who's also involved in the dental industry because so are my cousins. Anyway, the dentist route kind of bit quite well because it's a industry which really needs this. They're getting a high volume of calls. A lot are getting missed. A lot of their business is coming through the phone. And frankly, their receptionists don't really want to be doing these tasks of coming in on Monday morning, seeing 50 missed calls and trying to have to call through them whilst they've got patient in front of them who actually needs in-person, care, for example. So it's a solution which kind of like hits home with them. They get a great return on investment. They get great use out of it. And it's kind of a win-win for everyone involved, right? It's a win for the patient who's calling up. They get their inquiry answered straight away. It's a win for a receptionist. They haven't got to call back and be on the phone all day. They can actually deal with in-person interactions. And of course, it's a win for the business because they never get a missed call again.
Amazing. Yeah, it's really similar, those pain points with what I'm seeing on the people we mainly target, which are service-based businesses, tradesmen, repairmen, similar things like that. It's the same for them. They just don't want to be tied to their phone 24/7, and they know that every one of those calls that gets missed, that's someone going elsewhere. So it's a win there for them as a trader. What happens in the dentist space? If you miss a call, did it just frustrate the patient, or would they actually churn off and find another dentist? If it was urgent, I guess they would go elsewhere, right?
Yeah, if they're a new patient, they'll probably call the next person on their list. you know, and
Yeah.
in the dental industry, some of these treatments are quite high priced. So one missed opportunity, one missed patient could be thousands of pounds, which, is often the entire fees for the AI. So it's it's kind of a no-brainer for a lot of these businesses.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. How have you found the reception? Have you found people, anything that surprised you about working with people and bringing them agents? I've certainly found a lot more people than I realized didn't realize they were AI, which is partially the reason we're here today.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because obviously you and I, we're calling AI all day. So I'm quite well in tune whether it's AI or not. But we ran a campaign for Invisalign a couple of weeks ago where the AI was just calling up about 100 people per day, trying to get them booked in for an Invisalign consultation. It got four of them booked in with the deposit paid, of which all four turned up to the consultation, and only three of them didn't know it was AI. So the practice said to them, by the way, did you hear our receptionist? How do they get on? Just some feedback, and they're like, oh, I actually didn't realize, which is
Wow.
funny. So yeah, we've seen that. The way I see this going is that I don't think it's going to be a matter of hiding the fact that it's AI. I see humans and AI working together to make everyone's lives significantly better. Whether that's the person calling up, they should be aware that it's AI, and as a result, they should be able to get better customer support quicker, more instantly. You haven't be on hold for the next half an hour trying to get through to the right person. It should be tackled instantly. And for the team on the other side, one thing I'm really passionate about is that people often look at AI as a way of like, it's either my job or AI. When I don't see it like that whatsoever, I see it as your job now is going to be so much more fulfilling because AI is going to take away the mundane tasks which you haven't got to do.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. AI is becoming a part of the team. It might take over 20% of the grunt work, but there's still going to be, I mean, 80% of the grunt work, but there's still that 20% left where only humans with experience, with strategy, with creative decisions, and that's where they are needed.
Yeah.
So I think we're completely aligned on how that works. I think though, what we're seeing and the reason we think these standards matter now more than ever is because there's a lot of misunderstanding about what an AI voice agent or an AI receptionist can do, right? I think people presume it's like an old school chatbot on a phone line that it can just follow a structure
Yeah. It's
set of
a
conversations.
decision tree. Like it's no longer that whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, nuance is a huge thing, isn't it? We tried to build that in, especially with customers that didn't want it. We're trying to show them what is actually capable of what these things can do. So often when people call my test one, we encourage her, if people are asking, talking to it like a Siri in like 1 or 2 word responses, we get her to say, hey, you can talk to me like a human, you'll get a
We
much
do.
better
That's
response.
cool.
We don't do it with customer stuff, but on the sales calls, I don't know if it annoys people or not, but it does get them talking a bit more.
We actually have like a complete opposite. Well, I don't know why, but all our test ones are people just trying to break it. And some of the conversations are just hilarious. People are saying the most ridiculous stuff. I mean, we've deliberately played to it. Like one of our test agents is super sassy. It's a beauty salon receptionist, and he's going to try and flirt with you, tell you you're amazing, so, give you the perfect glow up. Like it's hilarious. It's so funny.
Yeah, I know people just haven't realized yet how far the quality's come on these voices and the latency. So the gap between it, understanding and responding. Even last year, it just wasn't there. Now we're in July 2025, and I'd say since January onwards, that has come to the point where it's no longer an issue in the vast majority of cases.
Yeah, and it's literally getting better every week. It's actually crazy. Latency does depend on like what the agent is doing, how complex of a task they're doing in the background. But all these things, but like you said, we only started Zeno because we saw a big leap forward at the end of last year. I've been keeping my eye on the AI voice space since late 2023. And I just looked at it and was like, this isn't where it needs. It's so much potential. Like this could
Yeah,
change the game for so many people and so many businesses, but it's not there. It wasn't until the end of 2024 that was a big evolution. And I was like, right, this is now the right time.
we talked about that Air AI demo, which I was just looking on the YouTube channel. That was from 2 years ago, and that was the first time I think I'd realized this was coming. This AI agent that could try to sell someone a MacBook, I think was the demo. But again, it was only come January we realized, hang on, there's something here. We can build this and actually serve customers now. So it is such a new space, which is great. And I think what we're trying to figure out here is how do we get people to trust the tools that are available, and what can we do to be responsible as business owners to make sure as many of us as possible follow like a code of conduct. Talked a little bit about like trust in phone calls and what does a voice answering AI need to do to gain trust in the right way. I imagine we've got a similar approach here. If someone asks, "Are you an AI? Are you fake?" The receptionist we deliver to people will say yes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And often most of our clients actually want it to be introduced as I am the AI receptionist for so and so business. Especially in these early days where it is a new technology and it may be the first time someone's speaking to an AI receptionist. Um, a lot of the clients we're working with want to start off being transparent from the start, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah, I think it has to be that way. And I think this has become, as we see these voices become more and more realistic and that latency reduced to nothing, having some of those rules in place makes so much sense. Quick summary of the code of conduct. So it sits on the site, on the CallTrust site, of which you're a founding member. The idea is we're an association of AI receptionists, builders, designers, deployers, whatever you might call us. And we follow a voluntary code of conduct that you've helped me write, and it's something that we just run through quickly now. But the essence of it, I think there's like 4 core essences, right? It's don't lie about being an AI, get consent if you're going to be cloning voice, which we'll come back to. Don't manipulate or misuse using AI to gaslight people, to scam people, and then don't run dodgy marketing. Don't lie in your marketing. Don't use real voices. I think you had an issue, didn't you, with someone didn't believe your ads were, they thought it was someone in the background, an actual human.
Yeah, we still get that. We still get that. I'm there on my ad, my phone in my hand, and they're like, "Oh, that's not real. That's either a human on the line or someone's in the room." And I'm like, "You can just call the number yourself. Like, just go on
Yeah,
the website and just call it. Like, experience it for yourself." But yeah, there's so much room for getting it wrong that we need to create, like you have done, a code of conduct.
yeah. You read through it, and I think what stood out that you mentioned was that we needed specifically something about voice cloning ethics in there, which I hadn't really considered because we don't do a lot of that on my side at Arrow, but you do some voice cloning, right?
Yeah, for a
Yeah.
few reasons. Most people are using companies like 11 Labs for voice cloning, so it's like a library of voices, and you can just pick one, which is all great. But as voice AI grows, you're going to see people use the same voices, which is fine. But what we specialize in Zeno is making it bespoke for your business, actually making it work for your business, like really going into the fine detail of intricacies of how you want to call to handle. And part of that is how do you want the voice to sound? Do you want it to be a specific geographical location where your business is? Do you want it to be one of your top performing sales reps, which is one of the things we're doing, is that we're taking one of their top performing sales reps and using their voice to be cloned to be used as an outbound sales. So we do a lot of it. It also creates a much more realistic agent because often the standardized libraries of voice cloning has been built with not too much care. Like it's someone that's reading a book, for example. And as a result, that AI's voice is going to sound like it's narrating, which isn't that great for a two-way conversation like we're having now. What you
Yes.
really want is someone to record the voice as if they're talking to their best friend, because then the tonality is then transferred over to the voice clone. So we do a lot of it, but obviously when we were hiring what we call voice models, there was a dilemma where I was like, we're a new business. We need to make sure we come across that we're doing the right thing here. And, we built out a legal document which explains how we're going to be using your voice. And it should be a concern. Like if you've ever been approached, if you're ever going to get approached for voice cloning, you want to make sure that this company you're working with are going to be using your voice in an ethical way because it could go wrong.
Yeah, that's great. It's really interesting to see you're using people in house. We've only had that floated a few times, and we haven't really covered the logistics. So that's great to see because what we do get a lot of is regional dialects and stuff, which is a problem right now. There's your broad strokes regional, but if you want someone who's from certain areas, just especially in the UK, it's not available yet. So great solution. Clone them. Clone someone that you know will get a voice model, voice agent, bring them in and clone them. That makes so much sense. And then with a legal framework around that basically says we promise not to use your voice for bad. I'm just thinking like in terms of where the industry is right now, where things are going too slowly. So we know we definitely, you and I have probably seen some lofty claims from people in the space around voice agents that can't back them up when you actually get to grips with them, when you get into the meat and potatoes. Systems that are promising too much or kind of lying and say, you'll never know how AIs are not human. But I feel like we need that disclosure, don't we? We need to have a code that there's some standards that we all adhere to. Kind of a handling of caller data as well, the kind of privacy issues. I think people skirt around it, but don't quite say within their privacy policies how things should be. But there's frameworks out there that we can just stick to, like the GDPR or the UK version. It's all there out on the table. It just makes sense to say that we will stick to them. So a lot of this is obvious to us. We've been talking about, we've lived and breathed this for the best part of a year and beyond, right? But why does it matter to have this all written down? Like, why do we need to bother with that? And I think probably it's just the fact there's so many people coming into this space on a weekly basis. And you're finding, how are you using at the moment to kind of explain your standards to the people that are coming on board with you? Are they just trusting you blindly? Are they seeing demos?
Yeah, demos, but for me and my team, we come from a background of building software to a pretty high level. Like my other company is a software development agency where we've been building tech startups for the last 5 or 6 years, of which, if you look at our history, I think last year alone, 15.5 million was raised off the back of the tech startups we built. So we're not these cowboys who are coming in with very little tech knowledge, who are just finding a plug and play system and just trying to make money off AI, capitalizing on the lack of knowledge customers may have around this, over promising and then not delivering. We've come from a background of deeply involved in technology, specifically around AI. Like probably our last 2 years of builds, 90% are in the AI space. So for us, that's kind of like a little bit of an advantage, is that like whilst we're a new company, which is a good thing because AI is new, and if you're an old AI company, it doesn't quite make sense considering that voice AI sucked like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. But whilst we're a new company, our foundational team, pre battle tested in this.
Yeah, it's a wild west, but you want to find the veterans, people that have been around for a long time and are claiming some responsibility and trying to hold some standards in place.
And I think that, maybe the different route which we're taking, or be a much harder route, is one of an agency route where we are working very, very closely with those clients to get it right for them on a quite personal level. There's almost two routes which you can take here. Not to say one's better than the other, but they're just different. One is like plug and play, kind of get you up and running really quickly and just handle your missed calls, which for a lot of businesses is going to be a complete game changer. What we're working with is mainly, I guess, bigger businesses where they need that call to be handled in a very, very specific way. All these small nuances, even little things like that patient who's calling up, are they an existing patient? Okay, if they are, when was the last time they came in? Who was a doctor they last saw? Are they NHS or are they private? How many failures to attend have they had? If it's above this number, we don't want to work with them. If it's below this number, then all these nuances we're figuring out. And I think one of the reasons why we're trusted is that because we go through this process with them before we sign up.
Yeah, because they don't know this when they call you, do they? They don't realize the vast web of potential decision trees that exist because they just know it naturally. So, yeah, I agree. You need to. We've often brought people on for a simple phone answering solution. Then actually, as you grow, you realize there's so much more you could do, but you've got to learn with them. Yeah, that's great. So they're building trust with you as you go because they're seeing you learn their business and spend that time with them.
Yeah, precisely. And truly try to figure out what we just want to make it work for these people. Like, even if it's like just like one person, I'll take that any day over kind of working for 50. Like, we just want to like freaking nail it for a select number of people and give them like proper results, real good results. So that's kind of the approach we're taking, and it's definitely a harder one, because it relies on more integrations, deeper integrations, more complex workflows, more nuances, but it's paying off.
It's much more bespoke, isn't it? Yeah. Why are we doing this now? Why are we having these conversations at this point, and what's going on in the world that's kind of triggered all of this? A couple of things. It was really interesting to see Sam Altman, CEO. He got fired and he's back, I'm sure, at this point, the CEO of OpenAI, just this maybe 2 days ago, was at the US Federal Reserve and said that he thinks the world's on the brink of an AI fraud crisis. And a ton of that is going to be fueled by synthetic voice. Alongside that, we know that there are more and more people coming into this industry, but there's really not much talk beyond broad brushstrokes around the ethics and the liability of all of this. There's guardrails in place at the language model level, right? So if you use ChatGPT, you can't get it to do things that it shouldn't be doing, that you don't want your kids to see, that you don't want to see yourself.
No.
But at the granular level, the SMB, the business size level, there's nothing here in place right now across the globe. I mean, we've looked around and couldn't find another association that's doing this kind of thing. The fact that even Sam Altman is saying we're at the brink of a fraud crisis just says that there's a cry from the top for regulation, for standards, for people to come in. And if it's not us stepping in to do this, what are we going to do? Leave it to the big guys to take over? It just doesn't make sense.
And like as we discussed earlier, the big guys, they're pretty slow to move. It's going to take innovators and forward thinkers to get this right.
100%. Yeah. The number of the AI space at the enterprise level is still shockingly so far behind because they are just giant tankers that have to move slowly, I suppose. We've seen stories every day about people losing, like lady got scammed due to an AI voice for $15,000. There's just so much potential out there for wrongdoing. I think just when you hear stories like that, gut reaction from my side, and probably you as well, right? People trust voices. We need to put boundaries in place and have some code of ethics that we follow. It just makes sense. What do you think is in terms of what the public grasp and don't grasp? I don't know if people understand how easy voice cloning is. Not great voice cloning, but if I wanted to just clone someone's voice enough for a quick scammy call, you can take 10 minutes worth of dialogue, can't you? I know we talked about it has to be the right intent and intonation, but we're at that point now where if you were a YouTuber, I could go and grab a semi-decent clone of your voice through publicly available tools.
100%. I mean, it's happening all the time. Like, people are taking like Joe Rogan's recordings of his podcast, which has hundreds of hours, and creating a really realistic clone of his voice, and then making them say whatever they want.
Yeah. So there's like the question of AI voice and credibility, and we don't want AI voice to be seen as not credible. And there's potential there for a credibility problem. But how do we get ahead of it, right? We put standards in place. Responsible use should be at the top of our approach to working with people. If people are out there running an AI receptionist or an AI voice agent company, we want to work with them. We want them to be a part of this too. It's completely free to join. We're looking for founding members. We're looking for people that want to take part. I approached you, Piers, because the fact I've seen you everywhere, I thought you'd be the first man that I should talk to. What did it feel like when I came to you? You didn't know I was about to spring it on you, did I? This concept.
No, and we get like not only do we get bookings from like every kind of business, like dentals and all sorts of businesses, we also get bookings from other agencies who are trying to figure out what we're doing. So, which I'm completely welcome to. One thing I haven't mentioned is that like we've also got this bigger play involved where we're actually building an entire operating system which allows you to control your agents across multiple channels in conjunction with your human team, almost like an AI first CRM.
Awesome.
That's like the big play. And so I don't mind getting on calls with people who are building agents. One, because I want to connect with them to make sure they're doing things right. I don't want any tarnishing of this industry. And two, there's obviously potential for them to actually be partners with us in a different way as well.
Yeah, great. What would you say to AI receptionist providers who are out there who might be watching, who might be considering it?
Run a lot of tests. Like the more like AI will, if you program that correctly, will self-learn and get better and better and better based on the data you feed back to it. The last thing you want to do is just launch to the public and press go with thousands of leads. You first want to go through periods of testing. First, internal testing with you and your human team. You can then even go through a route of AI on AI testing, which is quite unique, but it will allow for huge amounts of volume. There's lots of tools out there you can do that. And these tools will create other AI agents to call your AI agent and test it under different conditions, tonalities, accents, voices. You then take all that data and improve your agent again. You then want your client to do the same thing and test it and feed back to you again. Even if it means taking way longer to launch, it is so much better than launching early and getting it wrong. So just take your time and just get it right, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Clients going to be asking for that kind of. They're going to begin to understand about this eventually, aren't they? This, what tests have you got in place? How are you checking this before it goes live? I want to tell people out there to come and shape the narrative with us. Join the conversation. Don't just let it unfold. We want to show our customers that we're not just playing with toys, that we're playing with the future of business, and we invite people to come and join us in the CallTrust Standards Association. Piers, thanks so much for being a founding member. I'm sure we'll hear more from you in future videos and updates, and we'll see where this can take us. There's so much we could be doing. Really, really appreciate you taking the time today, and I look forward to catching up soon.
No issue. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, mate.